Morning. How's everyone? Hope everyone is well. Um, Apologize for my tardiness again. It's been a rough week, so to speak. But God is good nonetheless. I'm alive. I'm awake. I'm here, and I have opportunity to share with you. So it's actually a good week. So let me. I want to read from the book of Deuteronomy 1:6 through 8. Um, and it says, "When we were at Mount Sinai, the Lord our God said to us, 'You stayed at this mountain long enough. It is time to break camp and move on. Go to the hill country of the Amorites and to all the neighboring regions, the Jordan Valley, the hill country, the western foothills, the Negev, and the coastal plain. Go to the land of the Canaanites and to Lebanon, and all the way to the great Euphrates River. Look, I am giving all this land to you. Go in and occupy it, for it is the land the Lord swore to give to you, your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and to all of their descendants.'" And today I'm grateful for life, health, and strength, and I'm grateful for the ability to just release my mind and move on. Um, I This week was, like I said to y'all, it was kind of rough week because a lot of things keep coming back up from old past situation, you know. And I know it's the enemy either trying to get into my mind about it or try to, I don't know, try to bring worry about certain things that I probably don't even have to worry about. But nonetheless, you all know how it is sometimes when things rest heavy on your mind, you don't get enough sleep, and you don't get enough sleep, you oversleep. And it's just I realized that it it became a chain effect, and then I wouldn't even come here in the morning, and that's how I kind of realized low key that it was, it probably is an attack in the way of the enemy. And I got to this verse last night, and I chose this verse because it has such a strong message in it, but the message was so underlying, because I prayed before I read, and I just wanted, because I read like a lot last night, and then I just stumbled on this, and I said, Gary, you wake up early enough to share this, like this, there's something that you need to hear, but then somebody else may need to hear it. And let me just point it out, like what the underlying message that I took out of it was, right? So in this particular verse, Moses um and the Israelites had already, like a lot had already transpired. When I say transpired, because this is all the way in the book Deuteronomy, this is like two books away from Exodus now. So they had already gotten their laws, their families now had been appointed, like they had created sort of like their democratic structure. They had, like, everything was already sorted out, and they were comfortable where they was, they was by Mount Sinai. And most importantly though, why they were so comfortable, God was with them. Like, you could imagine like God being with you basically physically, because they had the Ark of the Covenant, which had a cloud, and Moses used to go in there, and his cloud used to light up like fire every day, and Moses would go in there and have a conversation with God and come out, and you know like this was a daily thing. They God lived amongst them. And in this particular verse, right, God said, and you said, I mean, what stood out to me is like this is where it started, right? They said, when we were at Mount Sinai, the Lord our God said to us, "You have stayed at this mountain long enough. It's time to break camp and move on." And like that hit me like a ton of bricks last night, y'all, because you know, sometimes like you have to move on. You have to be able to even though like you doing all the right things sometimes, you know what I mean? Like God could be with you and God will be right here in your presence, but sometimes like his instructions to you is to like move on. Like it don't make sense sometimes. And it could be move on from your thoughts, it could be move on from a relationship, it could be move on from, anything. But like you can't get comfortable. You know what I mean? Like you can imagine how comfortable they must have been. Um, whereas they had everything that they could imagine. They was getting their food on time, they had their structure. Like they probably thought that like this was the final place. But when God moved them from that place, he had even more for them. Because when he left from that Mount Sinai, they was all together. When they moved out now, like God showed them a whole big entire land that was theirs. And it was just a good reminder to me sometimes that well, not sometimes, that two things: that I can't get comfortable because at any moment in time, God could call you to go somewhere or God could call you to do something. So don't become complacent. And number two, like, don't hold on to these things because everything is temporary. The only thing was eternal is the love of God and our relationship with our Creator. That's the only thing that we have eternal. Everything else, like these things, would we try to hold on to, whether it be material things, whether it be um just these feelings or relationships or anything. Like all of these things just temporary and they can fade away one day, you know? And I realized what I had to do was I had to break camp from them thoughts. And I intentionally tried my best to get up this morning so that I could be here in this room and I could just just break camp from that sleep pattern, and so I could just break camp from thinking negativity, and so I could just break camp and move throughout my day with more prayers and like with my fellow kingdom citizens who I know has prayed for me and who I know has prayed for. And I just had to break camp and I had to move on from that. So again, everyone, I apologize for not being here this week. I apologize for being tardy this morning as well. Um, but late but not better late than never, right? So thank you everyone again for another opportunity to speak to you. Thank you again for listening to me. I love each and every one of you, and I'm Carrie, and I relinquish my mic.
Carrie, 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 Carrie.